Okay, your biggest win right now, whether you want to admit this or not, your biggest win, and my biggest win with running, came when I really took my race day nutrition seriously. It's so important, and we've learned so much in the last, definitely in the last 5 years, but in the last 10, 15 years, we've learned so much about what we can actually do in races in order to race optimally. And that's whether you're running Eliud Kipchoge's time of 2 hours, or whether you're trying to break 5 hours for the marathon. You want to be optimally energized during that race, whether that's half marathon, marathon, and definitely ultra marathon running. But if you're doing anything for longer than an hour, you want optimal race day nutrition, and you want to implement that into your midweek interval speed session running, so your stomach can get used to the gels or the sports drink that you put in there, and into the long run where you're building endurance, so your stomach can get used to many gels over hours or sports drink over hours. Yeah, so really, really important, and a massive win. Like, most people are going to go off the advice on the back of a gel, which says take a gel every 40 minutes. In those gels, more often than not, there's 25 grams of carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is the key point. Most of the gels have got it right these days to show that you've got a bit of potassium in there, sodium in there, the mineral content is pretty good, and the delivery system of the carbohydrate is usually pretty spot on. I like to go with Morton. Morton sponsor me, and it's great stuff. There's a lot of science that have gone into it, and I use the drink where it's possible, and the gels if it's a trail race or something when I've not got access to my bottles. The best way to do that, if you're currently going on 1 gel per 40 minutes, which is 37.5 grams of carbohydrate per hour, you want to be up to 80, 90, 100 grams of carbohydrate per hour. And the way to do that is exactly like with your long run, where you're incrementally adding a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more in order to build your endurance. You want to do that with your carbohydrate intake as well, in your interval session where you're running fast, and in your long run when you're running far. So the way that I did that, and I started from, as I said, 37.5 grams and moved up, was to get to 50 grams. Okay, great. So I'm taking, instead of taking one every 40 minutes, I'm taking a gel every 30 minutes. And that's getting me to 50 grams. Okay, how does that feel? Can the stomach take it, number one? But can the stomach metabolize it in order to convert that essentially into oxygen to get it and move it into energy in the muscles? That's the important part, and that's part of the training process. Once you get used to that, and it's in your training, you're not going to want to do anything different, because there's 3 major benefits. You're going to stay energized throughout the entire race and throughout your training, but you're going to also start your recovery even before you've started running, and you're going to make sure that the muscles are not breaking down in the same way that they were before when you're on a minimal carbohydrate intake, or for some of you, no carbohydrate intake at all. Now you're taking more carbohydrates. You're not letting your glycogen stocks deplete in your liver and your muscles, so there's less muscle breakdown. Super, super, super important. And then from 50 grams, I think that was 2 points, not 3, but then from 50 grams, I gradually moved up to 60 grams, to 70 grams, and then to 80 grams. And that only took a period of maybe 4 to 6 weeks. It's actually very easy. And if you're trying to do that with carrying gels or with a bottle and using a treadmill, or you're kind of placing drinks on your long run and your interval session, if you're doing your interval session on a track or a loop, you've got access to your drink, try drinking every 10, 20 minutes, or even better, mimic what you can do in the race. So if you're going to take a 25 gram gel, Morton have a 25 gram carbohydrate gel and a 40 gram gel. So you've got to get used to either taking a 40 gram carbohydrate gel every 30 minutes or a 25 gram carbohydrate gel every 20 minutes. And that's going to give you 75 or 85 grams of carbohydrate. I hope I said that right. So either one 40 gram carbohydrate gel every 30 minutes or one 25 gram carbohydrate gel every 20 minutes. You've got to get used to that. You've got to let your stomach take in the gel, process that into oxygen, process the oxygen into energy in the muscles so that you use that. And then again, you're not running out of energy during the race, during your training sessions, during your long run, and you're able to recover much faster because your glycogen's not depleted. It's so important, and it's the biggest factor that's limiting people's performance right now. It's the biggest factor that's holding you back because you've not energized your interval session. You've not energized your long run. So not only are you not energized for that maybe 30, 40, 50-minute interval session and that 1, 2, 3 hour long run, but you're also having extra muscle breakdown on those days, so that those recovery runs that you're doing on the subsequent days, it's taking a little bit more out of you, or you're having to do more recovery, so you can't get back and hit those hard sessions harder because your body's not able to fully recover, or it's taking too much in order to fully recover, so you're not hitting them properly. Super important to get this right. If you can nail your carbohydrate intake and get towards 80, 90 grams, 80 grams is a good level. That's the level that I run at if I'm running a 100K race or whether I'm running a marathon. It's a good level where if I'm taking a sports drink, it's great. If I'm taking gels, I know that I can survive on that. And what it feels like, the difference between 37.5 grams an hour and 80 grams an hour, is that I'm more confident because I know that I'm not going to run out of energy. I know that I'm not going to hit the wall. I know that it's completely another thing that I don't even need to worry about. I need to worry about on holding pace, holding onto the group that I'm with to hit the target time that I'm going to hit, and focus on my kilometer splits when I'm doing 100K, and my 10-kilometer splits, and timing it. And it's much more easy for my brain to do those calculations because it's not depleted on glycogen. Super important, massive point. And then what you're going to get is, and what I felt is, I'm bouncing back from that interval session much quicker, to the point where I have to be disciplined enough to know that if I'm doing an interval session on a Wednesday, on a Thursday I take the day off, because that's the biggest day that's going to have the most kind of impact, the most stress on the body. So Thursday is just a walking day, a hiking day, or a cycling day. I'm making sure that I'm not running on that day, because that's when it's taken the most out of my body. But I feel as if I could run now because I've got that extra carbohydrate during that session. Exactly the same on a Sunday, but to a lesser extent, I feel as if I could train again on Monday. And I usually go out for an easy run just to help the muscles kind of like pump blood around the system, so that I'm getting oxygen to the muscles and flushing out all the toxins in the blood. Carbohydrate is the way forward. Use a great carbohydrate. GU are great, Morton are great. There's lots of other gel brands out there. And if you've got access to drink, obviously in terms of surface area and how you're able to break that down, the drink is going to be much more beneficial to you than gels, or much quicker to break down than gels, and much easier to take on. And it's more kind of, it will quench your thirst more than a gel, and mean that you don't have to carry that water as well. So that might be more beneficial to you. But see what works for you, and get to 80 grams as quickly as you can, and you'll notice the benefits. If you're currently on that strategy, tell me about your strategy at the moment. How many gels per hour do you take? What sports drink do you take? What is your nutrition plan for a race and for interval sessions and long runs? And how can you make that better after watching this video?